Hey guys, what's going on? It's Lance and Lauren here, and we're doing episode 20 of Elevated with Lance and Lauren. So if you are joining us live or on replay, be sure to comment hashtag live or replay in the comments below, wherever you're watching. We've got a good one today. This one, we love doing the myth versus fact, and we've been doing these on email and YouTube and all of this, and people are going nuts over it. So I think today should be, a little controversial like usual, so I think it'll be fun.
I'm always trying to stake a flag in the ground.
Yeah, so I think this will be good. So, nevertheless, guys, we do have, I've done this for 16 years. We've got almost 30 years combined experience. These are,
That makes us sound old.
We are getting old. So, nevertheless, these are, take them or leave them. But this is the thing. These are things that we're actually doing in real time with our clients and have been for the last 16 years. So use them or don't, but we're going to dive in. So the very first one, you want to start with this one?
Yeah.
The very first myth?
Yeah, I actually did a live about this, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I have two profiles, guys. Long story, but my old profile, I have this pinned now because you can apparently pin videos. I didn't know you could do that. But clean eating is needed all the time for getting results. And I literally did a video showing what 5 Mr. Good bars are in calories, along with 5 nutritiously dense foods, which obviously for your health are going to be better for you when we're talking about internal health. But the point I was making is that the 5 Mr. Good bars and I had like 10 grams of almonds, a granola bar, and something else, a fruit. That was the same calories. And I was making the point that some days you just want to choose the Mr. Good bars because you're having, a rough day, or sometimes you just want some candy and don't want to feel guilty about it. And this is one that I'm super passionate about because I'm not promoting you guys to go out and just eat Mr. Good bars. I just wanted to make the point that so many times people believe this lie that certain foods are better for you than other foods. And when it comes to fat loss, that's simply not the case. It really does come down to calories in and calories out and what's appropriate for your body. I do know people who have told me before, and I hear this all the time when I'm chatting with people about our programs, well, I eat clean and I just don't know why I'm not losing weight. And then they'll usually give me the rundown of everything they're eating in a day. But the first thing I ask them is like, well, do you track your food? Do you okay, that's great that these are the things that you eat, but do you know calorically what that is per day for your nutrition? And the answer is typically no. And so it's always one of those things that is just a myth that we like to dispel. Clean eating is not going to make you thin or help you to lose weight. It's going to be knowing exactly what your body needs to be in a deficit in order to lose weight. And so the cool thing is that despite what you've always heard, you can still lose weight at a deficit and have a Snickers bar if you want to. Or you can eat 100% clean. It doesn't matter as long as you're staying in that caloric structure that you need for your body. So that's kind of what I have to say on the topic. If there's anything you want to add on that one.
I think the main thing that we have to keep important is that when you're chasing goals is that you have to keep the main thing. And it's so easy to start stacking up all of these other rituals that people who are successful might do, but they might have done them long after they did the thing to get the results.
Exactly.
And so you might be doing things that you are perceiving to be of high importance, such as eating super clean. Whereas the real focus if you're 50, 60 pounds or 30 pounds, wherever you are overweight,
even 10 or 20,
the real focus is actually getting the body fat off. And that can happen via using caloric deficit. Why are we droning on about this? Well, we're talking about it specifically because we witness so many people crash and burn on their nutrition plans and their weight loss programs, specifically because they think that they have to be clean all the time and they have to follow a strict diet all the time. And the reality is that it really does come out to what's called CICO or CICO, which is calories in, calories out. Is it as simple as just calories in versus calories out? No, it's not that simple, but it's what it comes down to. And at the premise, the foundation of this pyramid of fat loss, it doesn't matter if you are eating all clean foods and you are even going over 50 calories above what's known as your total daily energy expenditure, which is how many calories your body needs every day to maintain its body weight. If you go over that amount of calories eating the cleanest dang foods, you're going to gain body fat.
Yep.
If you're working out, you're going to gain muscle depending on what your goals are, etc. But the point is, you can get fat simply by eating all clean foods. There's no way around that.
Right.
Likewise, you can get, quote, thin or thinner eating all crappy foods. Now, I don't advise that because it's highly unhealthy,
Right.
and it's not sustainable. You're not going to feel good, but it can be done. The point is, if you have more flexibility within your program and you're not sticking to rituals simply because of the fact that they're disciplined and your coach told you to without meaning or science to back it up, it's going to allow you to stick with your program better by having flexibility.
Yep.
That's the whole key. So that's why we let people know that, yes, to be more nourished, you want to make sure that you have more of your nutrient-dense food. So what I will leave you with is, before we go to the next one, is that we teach our clients to focus on the 80-20 rule in the case that 80% of your foods are going to come from what we call nutrient-dense foods, and 20% is going to come from fun foods, or what we call calorie-dense foods. What this does is gives you the relief from feeling deprived, and yet it doesn't put you in excess so that you're eating junk and junk so much that you're not getting nourished.
Right.
It is a great balance, and as long as you are at this calorie deficit where you should be, that's healthy, you're going to lose weight. So that's the beauty. So no, clean eating is not needed all the time for getting results. It's not needed any of the time, but it is highly recommended
Absolutely.
to be nutrient dense 80% of the time.
Yeah, I would say that you want to be healthy internally just as much as you want to
Absolutely.
be healthy externally and have a lean, fit physique.
Preventing
That's
cancer and
cancer,
disease and all
yes,
of that,
all that
that
stuff.
happens through food as well as exercise.
foods that grow from the earth.
You bet. So we are not saying that, flexible eating means throw all caution to the wind and eat all junk. But what I am saying is, if you've not built up that discipline and you're struggling to stick with and sustain weight loss, you do not need to be focused on trying to get everything perfect 100% of the time.
Right.
You're going to crash and burn.
Yep.
So, all right, the number 2, this one is one that we hear, and it's, again, it really does, it piggybacks on what we just talked about, which is this myth is carbs make it harder to lose body fat. Do carbs make it harder to lose body fat, guys? If you're a client and you're watching this, you already know the answer is no. Guys, some of our clients, at their leanest point, were eating more than 300 grams of carbs per day. If this were true and not false, then that wouldn't happen, and I would have been giving refunds instead of sharing success stories. But that's not what we do. We share success stories. It works. The reason why is because of part 1. Calories in versus calories out, and then using the laws of thermodynamics to understand fat loss that lasts. So this means that you can have a good amount of carbohydrates in your body and still be at a caloric deficit enough to cause you to lose body fat, which means not feeling deprived, not feeling foggy, not having bad breath from whenever you get into ketosis, not having all these issues that come with ketosis as well. Are there benefits of ketosis? Yes. It helps to destroy cancer. That's when you're going through that, you should be absolutely going on ketogenics.
Yep.
But for most people, these sort of things are not sustainable long term, and most people who are losing through keto of some kind, or the all-fat diet, or the Atkins diet, or whatever, they've all been rebranded because every time they try and modify one little thing to make it more sexy. The bottom line is that you do not need to cut out all of your carbs to lose body fat.
Right.
If you're doing that and miserable, then we've got the solution for you. Don't do that. So simply by being in a caloric deficit and having a balance of macronutrients is significantly better for your fat loss, especially fat loss that lasts. This will help you to prevent loss of lean body mass when you're losing body fat, which means that your metabolism stays more burning at a higher rate, so on and so forth. So there are tons of reasons to make sure that you're not buying into that narrative that carbs make it harder to lose body fat.
Right.
Number 3, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. You'll
mean,
probably have
you know.
sciencey things to add to this, but
Go ahead and
all sciencey, Sheldon.
Go ahead and talk about your experience.
Okay, so the third myth is that getting bulky happens from lifting as a woman. I cannot tell you guys how wrong this is. And sorry I sang that word. But also, too, I talk to so many women who are afraid to go into the gym and pick up a weight. And when they do pick up a weight, they think they need to stay at like 8 pounds and under, because they're terrified that if they, grab the 12s and they have good form on a bicep curl, that all of a sudden their arms are just going to be massive and they're going to look like Lance walking through the gym. Guys, that is just it's absolutely false. First of all, let me say this as a woman. In order to look that way, you're going to have to do some injecting look like that.
Or taking oral stuff. But
you're going to have to basically, you're going to have to change your hormones to be able to do that. Our bodies as women are not designed to look like this.
And don't do that, by the way.
Yeah,
that's not us condoning that. Don't
no,
do that.
not at all. Not at all.
Stay off that crap.
Definitely agree. But the point is that our ladies, our bodies are not designed that way. But I'm going to tell you this much. If you want a lean and toned physique, or this is the common thing that I hear all the time, Lauren, whenever I wave, I don't want my triceps to keep waving whenever my hand stops. Like, if you want toned arms and you want to be able to wear, tank tops and feel proud, girls, you're going to have to pick up a weight. You're going to have to do some resistance training. In fact, you probably don't necessarily need to start with weights, but you have to do what's known as resistance training. Resistance training simply means that. It doesn't mean that I need dumbbells or a bar. I need to use resistance against my body so that I can make the muscles work. So, in saying that, it's just a huge myth that if you lift weights, you're going to get bulky. And I've seen women who have gone into the gym, and we always call them cardio queens, but they just cardio, and they drop 30 pounds, which is fantastic. I love to hear, always celebrate when somebody's losing weight. But the problem is that they're a smaller version of what they were before, because there's no lean muscle mass, there's no tightness, there's no density. And so that comes with resistance training. So anything you want to add to that?
Definitely. So getting bulky happens from lifting as a woman is the myth. It is very much obviously false, as she was saying. And the thing of it is that, again, anecdotally, we can give all of these different reasons and talk about her and our clients and so on and so forth. But when we get down to the nitty gritty, here's the reason why this is untrue. The reason that you're seeing women who look bulky is simply because they began working on lifting weights or doing some sort of resistance training, and yet they're not correcting their diet. So what's happening is, most likely, or they corrected their diet but not to the extreme that they need, or to the depth of what they need. And what happens is that their body fat is not decreasing, but their muscle capacity is increasing.
Yep.
So what you're having is for example, if I have body fat on my arms and it waves when I wave, and then I start building muscle, but my body fat is not going down because I'm not correcting the nutrition, I'm not enough of a deficit, that means I'm providing the calories and resources for my body to start building muscle at a rapid rate, so I start doing that. What happens, though, is that I have body fat over top of the muscle that I'm building. So now this muscle that begins starting to make my arms grow and get thicker is unfortunately under the same layer of fat that caused me to be embarrassed and feel insecure to begin with.
Yeah.
So this is what happens. And then what happens is we get a trainer who doesn't understand this and starts telling all of his clients that lifting weights as a woman causes this, or a magazine says it, or somebody's just simply makes an incorrect inference by seeing, somebody who is in the bulkier side of life, and yet they're, and they're lifting weights. And so they put the two together and they marry them.
And they go,
she works out like this. She's bulky simply because. Well, what we're doing is confusing causation with correlation. This is not causation. This is correlation. She happens to be working out and lifting weights, but it's not because she's lifting weights that she is looking like she's doing.
Right.
So as long as you are lifting, you're working out, resistance training, what have you, to whatever degree that you want to that fits your lifestyle and your goals, as long as your body fat is decreasing because you're creating the proper calorie intake, you're never, ever, ever, ever going to experience the bulkiness. If you do, it's only going to be for a short transition, in which case maybe you gain a little bit more muscle than your body was able to burn body fat. And that happens sometimes if somebody's not worked out for a while.
Yep.
Outside of that, you're not going to. So that brings us to number 4. Go ahead and read this one. You share your experience, and I'll dive in and give the reason because it's going to piggyback on what we just talked about.
I will, because this one is funny to me because I actually thought this.
Yes.
And I was married to you, so it seems ridiculous. But, okay, so you should do cardio to lose weight and lift weights to build muscle and strength. So I told this story before. It's really funny to me now. But, gosh, I don't even know how many years ago. I was 21, 35, do the math. So all these years ago, I finally got to the end of myself. And I know you guys have probably heard my story before. But I finally decided that I was going to start getting in shape. And I told Lance, and he just didn't argue with me, that I just wanted to do cardio for a while. And then what I would do is lose all the weight. And then I would work on toning muscle after that. And so I'm in the gym. I'm doing my cardio thing. And I probably did like an hour of cardio 4 or 5 times a week. Not lifting any weights, guys. And I met this girl who ended up becoming my best friend through us working out at the gym. But I told her my theory, and she was like, dang, that's a good idea. So we were cardio queens for a while, and then finally I started talking to Lance and asking for his advice and realized that that was totally wrong.
I won't give my input until it's asked because, anyway, you get that.
Let me say this much. I wasted a lot of time, guys. And I was frustrated because I was not yielding the result that I was really after.
Yep.
So
completely. So obviously, guys, this is a myth. There are multiple reasons why. Is cardio going to help you lose weight? Sure. Is lifting weights going to help you build muscle and strength? Definitely. But are they mutually exclusive? Should they be something that are compartmentalized? Not even a little bit. Right. The reality is as we went back to number 1, talking about how everything comes down to energy output or energy balance, calories in, calories out. We first talked about the calories in part. That's our food. Now we're talking about the calories output. That's our workouts. Mm-hmm. Whether you do cardio or lift weights, you're going to be burning a certain amount of calories. Those calories are going to chip away at whatever you've eaten for the day, okay, to create a balance or a deficit. You could go the route of cardio or the route of weightlifting, and some might say that if you were able to burn 400 calories of cardio, and maybe that would take 45 minutes versus or 30 minutes versus taking an hour to do a lift that burn 400 calories, it obviously makes more sense to do cardio, right? Wrong. The reason is because of something called EPOC. I'm not going to jump into all of that, but we're going to use some more low-level terms that are easy to remember. So we're going to use the term Afterburn Effect. Mm-hmm. So the Afterburn Effect is basically the harder we work with our oxygen and utilizing muscle, we're going to elevate our metabolisms for a greater period of time after our workout. So when we're doing resistance training or doing things of interval style training that's more high intensity interval style, we're going to be activating or incorporating that EPOC more, which means that we're going to be elevating our metabolism we're going to be burning calories at a much more rampant rate for the next 22 to 30 hours. So cardio does not do this to that same level. In fact, cardio, not only does it not do that to the same level, it barely does it at all. So cardio, you're only burning the calories that you're burning for that workout. You're not stimulating muscle. Usually, if you're doing some elliptical, you can burn a little bit on the legs, but not to the degree that's going to actually change your shape, but we'll get in that in a minute. What you're really doing, though, is you're only burning calories for that time. Mm-hmm. If you want to burn the most body fat and you actually want to look the best, what we recommend is actually fusing the two together, where you're doing resistance training along with some variation of cardiovascular, aerobic with anaerobic. So the combination of anaerobic and aerobic creates a greater EPOC, and again, which means your afterburn effect is significantly higher than just doing cardio. What this means is, not only did you burn more calories because you were using muscle and cardio, using those terms, because interval training allows you to burn maybe 600 to 700 calories, whereas cardio would maybe burn half of that. But you're also creating a greater afterburn effect because you're incorporating those muscles and you're actually elevating a greater demand on oxygenated blood and nutrients and so on and so forth. So simply put, what this means is that you can burn twice the fat in half the time by actually incorporating resistance training with your cardiovascular instead of trying to fuse or to separate the two and to do one versus the other. The other aspect that a lot of guys go, so we talked about Lauren's version where she was the cardio queen. This is the other version that we're talking about. And everybody knows this side. It's the male who basically every Monday sits on a bench press for about 45 minutes and is bench pressing and basically is doing bench pressing on this day, doing curls the next day, or doing whatever, basically all there's not, if there's sweat, it's not much. And we're getting some increase in strength. And so he feels like he's doing well. The problem is whenever 6 months later he goes to look at the pictures and check body fat and all of this stuff, body fat is higher because he started working out and increasing a little bit of muscle because he's, requiring some strength and he's burning some calories. So there is a greater demand, but he doesn't really, grasp that he's not nearly burning the amount of calories needed to be healthy, nor to actually decrease body fat. So what happens is body fat actually goes up because he perceives that he's really working significantly harder than what he is. So no real changes occur other than an increased body fat and a great frustration. And this individual usually reaches out to me to go, Lance, I went from, 135 bench press all the way up to 225. I've gotten stronger. This happened and that happened. I was feeling good. And then I looked at my belt size and I went from like a 34 to a 38. Yeah. And I don't know what's happening. Well, I know exactly what's happening. You're doing all of the things that make you feel like you're working hard, but this is all busy work. It's not actually moving the needle. Just like cardio queens. So the same thing happens. You don't want to be on either end of the spectrum. Now, not every male that goes to the gym and not every female that goes to the gym fits into one of those. And likewise, not every person who goes in there to lift weights does what I'm describing. There are a lot who their intensity is great and so on and so forth, but these are the common extremes that we see. Yeah. And the reason why this myth is something that gets propagated as fact for so many years and people, find themselves frustrated. So I guess to summarize when saying this is to make sure that you do not lean on one towards the other, that you really understand this as more or less a giant mosaic that goes together. I take in the right amount of calories, I burn the right amount of calories. The amount of calories I burn should be effective for what I'm able to eat. The amount of food that I eat should be effective for my lifestyle, and everything should just flow. Yeah. That's a system. That's how this works. Rather than some sort of avoidance of carbs, seeking out doing tons of cardio, or avoidance of some sort of resistance training because of fear of bulk. Yeah. So, anything you want to add?
No, I was going to just say that was a good way to tie a pretty bow around that.
It was all planned.
Okay.
It was definitely not all planned.
And that'll be it for today.
So guys, honestly, we really do hope that this has benefited you guys. We wanted to do a couple, hopefully. We wanted to do a couple on some of these myths. We are going to do more of a myth versus fact series on the show just because there are so many misnomers and myths that are out there, and I really want to make sure that we dispel as many as possible so that whether you're in our program or not, you're not wasting time and you're not wasting energy and giving up. So hope this has helped you guys. Let us know if you feel like this has been valuable at all. Put #value in the comments below.
And on a Hearty Dad.
That's it.
Okay. Well, great. Well, we'll see you guys next time.
That was a question, by the way. That's it.
Oh.
So.
Oh, well, I didn't know.
All right, guys. Honestly, we have enjoyed this one. We really hope that we'll see you guys next time on the next one, episode 21. Don't miss it. We will see you then.
Bye.